Hey, it's the Terminian Hero here, and in this video, I'm gonna be teaching you how to create your own custom courses in the F-Zero X Expansion Kit course editor. So the editor is right down here, and as you can see, it's all in Japanese, and that's why I'm here to explain. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is place down 4 points. So if I just place points here, I can move the control stick to move the cursor, and I use A to place my points. And there it made a little track for us. And if I do something really weird like this, where it doesn't like the angle over here, I can use B to undo that. And for now, I'll just keep placing my points, and it just makes a track that goes through all the points automatically. I can also use the Z button to select different segments of track or different points depending on what mode I'm in. If I double tap a Z, the camera will focus on a point. And I can use R to zoom in, L to zoom out. I can use the D-pad to rotate the camera. And I can use the C buttons to pan the camera. So that's the basic controls done. If we look in the bottom right here, there's a menu. And the first option on this menu is to test your level, which you can't do if there's like a really awkward turn or whatever. You have to fix those problems before it lets you test your level. That's why I had to undo the thing earlier, but as you can see, we're just dropped into the track, and there's this weird crossover section here. But the thing is, only the part of the track that you're on exists. So like if I go to this weird crossover section and I try to go to the other part of the track, I just can't. Which means that you can't make a track with like split paths or anything like that, unfortunately. You know, if I put a jump here and tried to get you to jump to the other track, you just fall through that part of the track and fall out of the level. So yeah, you can't do that. But anyways, if I pause the game here, this option here is continue, and this option is to back out of testing. Now, back here in the bottom right corner, the other buttons here, this second one gets rid of the detail in the roads, so we just see the line that the track follows. And then this third option here is snap to grid. And in order to show what that does, let me just zoom out here. So if you look on the right, you can see it tells you the details on the little point that my cursor is pointing at. So you can see the X, Y, and Z coordinates of this point. So if I go to put another point down, you can see I put it at -609,0913, and if I put one here, it's at -135,0, -242. But if I put snap to grid on, these should be much nicer number. Not that I put the wrong one on. If I put snap to grid on, yeah, they're much nicer numbers. -250, 0, -300. 750, 0, 450. And then this final option here just gives you little tooltips on these other menu options, but they're all in Japanese, and I just told you what they do anyways. Right above the menu, we can see the title of our track, which we haven't given a title to yet, so it just says no title. We have the length of the track. And this Japanese here says point, because we've placed 6 points down, and we can have up to 64 in a track. Whenever you're putting something down in a track, whether it's points or something else, this will tell you how many you've put down out of how many you can put down. Anyways, in the top right, we have exit, so we can get out of the editor, and as you see, when we go back in the editor, we haven't lost what we've done, it's still there. But you will lose what you've done if you, like, turn the game off or whatever. We also have the options here with a bunch of Japanese settings. So, this first option, you remember how there's that menu on the right when I hover my cursor over a point? That menu that pops up, that will only show up if you have this first option set to on. Now this second option, if I select a point, you see a little box appears near the point. And so any menu that appears when you select something, those menus will only appear if you have this second option set to on. In this case, you know, it tells you the coordinates of your point. This third option is whether or not you want music playing in the background while you're on the editor. This fourth option is whether or not you want sound effects. This fifth thing here is your cursor sensitivity. If you want your cursor to move faster, slide this over to the right. If you want it to move slower, slide it over to the left. I'm good with it right in the middle. And the sixth option brings up two more options, and both of these are just to see the controls, but they're in Japanese anyways. So this one is to see how you actually interact with the editor, and this one is the camera controls. So yeah, that's the options. Now, to go up to the tabs here. So these yellow tabs are all connected. This leftmost one is the Create tab, and this is where you choose what mode you want to be in. So we have Course Mode, Point Mode, Design Mode, Parts Mode, Background Mode, and Music Mode. And the two yellow tabs next to the Create tab will change depending on what mode you're in. So if I switch back over to Course Mode here, you see this yellow tab changed. We now have the Point tab, and right now we have it on Set. So we can set points down that are connected to whatever piece of track we have highlighted. So if I select this piece of track and place a point here, the point is connected to these 2 points where that track was going through. If instead I place it over here, yeah, it still tries to connect to those because we had this section of track selected. Alternatively, I could select this piece of track and put a point over here, so you see how that works. So if we switch from Set to this option here, this is Move Start. So you see this, if we zoom in here, this purple section is the starting segment of the track, and this spot here is the starting line. So if I say select this part of the track and press A, suddenly this is the starting segment with the starting line up here. Now we have another option here that I'm gonna want to be zoomed out here for. This one here, this is centering. This is something that you're gonna want to do once your track is fully complete. Because once you select this, your whole track moves to be centered. Then this next one here is reverse. So if I zoom in here, you can see there's a little car going around our track telling you what way the track goes. And if I hit reverse, suddenly the car's going the other way around, and the starting line changed from one end of the starting section to the other end of the starting section. So we've completely reversed our track. And this option here is clear all. This is no, this is yes. And there goes our track, it's all gone now. So let me just put some points down again so we have something to work with again. So that's everything in the course mode. So let's switch over to point mode. And now we have the move tab. This first option here allows you to move a point on the X and Z axes. And this next option here allows you to move a point on the Y axis. So if I move the camera here so you can see what I'm doing, you can see I'm raising this piece of track up. Anyways, our next option is width. So I can make a part of the track, like, really thick if I want to. And this option is bank. So remember, this game is an anti-grav, so if I wanna completely turn a part of this track, I can do that. And then we have center. Now, center is a feature that I don't really use because it just kind of messes the track up a bit, in my opinion. But as you see, I can change where the center point is on the track. It's kind of weird. I don't like messing with this. So let's just keep it centered perfectly. Then we have clear, if we want to get rid of a point on our track. Which I don't really, so let's undo that. And we have straight. This final option here, this is straight, and it doesn't really work very well. So first, let's just make a few more points. Let's try them over here. And now let's try to use our straight feature. If you hold Z down, you can actually select multiple things at once. And let's use straight. Well, the track slightly moved, but it still doesn't look straight to me. So, yeah. That's a not very effective straight tool. So let's just get that back to looking good. And let's move on to our next tab. for our next mode here, which is design mode. And here we have the style tab and the type tab. So with the style tab, we have a bunch of different types of roads to choose from, and on the type tab, we have the look of the road we can choose. So if I want to make it look like this instead, suddenly I just changed the look of the road. There we go. But on the style tab here, this is a normal road. This here is a road with walls. I want to zoom up here so you can get a good look at what I'm changing. This is a road without edges, meaning you can fall off of it. This is a tunnel. It's a little awkward because we're working with a really wide road here. Maybe I should shrink this a bit. Get the width back down to normal. But yeah, you can see that this is a tunnel. Then this option here is a pipe, one of those anti-gravity pipes, so it's like a tunnel, but, you know, you can drive on the walls and the ceiling. Then we have a half pipe, so the same thing except open at the top, meaning you can fly out. Then we have that cylinder, where you can drive on all sides of it, but you can also easily fly off, but you're like connected to the cylinder magnetically, but it's still easy to fly off. But yeah, it's those cylinders. Here we have a space, so it's just a gap. You gotta jump that gap, which would not be possible in our current track configuration. And then here, there's a loop. Which I think didn't work right because we had it have no road. So let's set it back to a normal road. And now let's make a loop out of it. Oh yeah, look at that. It went right around our piece of the track here. That's cool, I actually like that. Anyways, so that's all of the options here in design mode. So let's move on to parts mode. Here we have the style and type tabs again. And if we, so like the first thing we have on our style tab is pits, and I don't mean pits that you fall into, I mean like a pit stop in a race. So if we select this spot here, and I press A, there we've got pit stops on both sides of this track. And if we only want them on one side, we can do that, or if we want them only in the middle, we can do that, or if we want to get rid of them, we can go to clear, and just get rid of them. And, you know, there's a whole bunch of things we can add here. We've got the dash pads, if you want to get a speed boost. We've got dirt, which will slow you down and do damage to you. This says slip, so it's basically ice. Then we've got jumps. You hit them, and you do a jump. Then these are traps. They bounce you when you hit them and do a little damage to you. Then this is gates. So you may have noticed with the other things in the bottom here, you know, we can only put traps on 8 segments of the road. And only 8 jumps, and so on. I'm gonna get rid of these traps here, I don't want them there. But these last 3 categories are unique, because they share their limit in how much stuff you can put down. So, this section is gates, and these are just for looks, so I can put a gate here. There's a few different types of gates to choose from. But, so I used up 1 gate, so it says 1 out of 16 down there. If I go down here to pillar, and I decide to put buildings back here, now it's at 2 of 16. Even if I just went with 1 building, it doesn't matter, it's the same. And there's various other objects you can put in, and the exact look of them differs depending on the theme of your track. But anyways, yeah, so all 3 of these sections are shared in how much you can put in the track. And this last one here is signs. So if you want to put flags next to the track or whatever. So that is the parts tab. And then, moving on to our next mode, we have the background mode, which is pretty self-explanatory. We have the scene tab and the sky tab. So this is like, what do you want the ground to look like, which also dictates what the road looks like. So if I choose this one, you see it change the color of our road, as well as it would change the color of the ground if we were to actually test the level, like the design of the ground. See, it's all rocky instead of what it was on, which was like a city. And, you know, changing the sky is self-explanatory. Now there's not a pink haze, because I have changed the sky. And our final mode here is our music mode, which, again, is pretty self-explanatory in that you just pick what music you want for the track, but the track names are in Japanese. So, here's what they are. This one is Mute City. This one's Silence. I'm gonna stop waiting for them because it takes too long to load. But this one down here is Sand Ocean. This one is Port Town. This one's Big Blue. Devil's Forest. Sector. White Land. Did I skip one? I messed that up. Here, let me start that over. Mute City, Silence, Sand Ocean, Port Town, Big Blue, Devil's Forest, Red Canyon, Sector, White Land, Rainbow Road, Regeneration, Roller Coaster, Bigfoot, and Japan. With these last 5 being exclusive to the expansion kit. Not that it really matters, since you need the expansion kit to edit these tracks to begin with. But anyways, so that's everything you need to know as far as creating a track goes, but there's still these two menus over here. This is the File menu, which you need to go to do stuff like save your track. So this option here is Load. So I could load one of these other tracks that I've created, or I could even load some of the official tracks. You can load any official track in the game except for the Death Race track and the default Edit Cup track. But, of course, I don't want to load anything right now, otherwise I'll lose what we just made. This option is Save, so I could save over one of my other tracks, but I definitely don't want to do that. So we'll go to New File, and I'll just call this track Tutorial, since that's what this video is. It just barely fits within the character limit. So there we go, I've saved a new track called Tutorial. If I wanted to rename it, I could do that here. You just go down to whatever track you want to rename. And I would put it in there, but I didn't want to rename it. So it should still be down there as Tutorial, yeah. Before I do this fourth option, let's do the fifth option, which is Copy. So let's copy our tutorial track. And we'll just call it Tut, I guess. And as you might expect, this fourth option is Delete. So let's delete Tut. Now finally, this is the entry menu over here. And this is where you add tracks to the Edit Cup. So this first option is what you use to add tracks to the Edit Cup. So let's add Tutorial. So you see it's there in the Edit Cup. If we wanted to get rid of it, we go to Clear, which is the second option, and take it off. So yeah, it's gone now, and let's just add a bunch of stuff to the Edit Cup. We'll add a bunch of big tracks. Big Kidney, Big DNA, Big Rainbow, Big Top. And Big Yosh. And let's say I don't want all those in the Edit Cup. Well, this is Clear All. And they're all gone. So this one gets rid of them one at a time, this one gets rid of all of them. But, before we end off here, let's do, like, I feel like we should always have a pit in every track. Well, there is one track I have that doesn't have a pit intentionally. But that's because that one's so simple, where the danger is that there's not supposed to be a pit stop. But anyways, let's put our pit stop on the loop there. And now let's save over our tutorial thing. And I'll probably add some boosts into this track later. But for now, let's just put tutorial in the edit cup. And as you see, if we exit, and we go to, you know, one of these random modes, I guess we can just go to practice. And we go to edit cup, you see that our tutorial track that we just created is here. And there's a bunch of default tracks because we didn't set those. But yeah, so we'll go into our track here. And since we're on practice, I guess we are racing. I never really use practice mode. But yeah, we're now racing on the track we've created. We'll do one full lap, and then I'll end it. Here's that loop we made. Or the editor kind of made it for us. You can make loops yourself, but they have that option to just have it do it for you, you know. Anyways, that was a lap. That's all we need to do. So let's get out of here. And that's that. That's how you create courses in the F-Zero X Expansion Kit course editor. I'm the Terminian Hero, and I'll see you next time for something else.